Good morning. It's Tuesday, June 6th. And today I want to talk about child labor. Child labor has been on the rise since 2018. And the child labor laws are being changed, not to the benefit of the children, but to the benefit of the employers. Now, I'm not against children working. I believe that once you're 15 years old or so, you can hold a job of some kind. I worked from 15 till the time I retired at the age of 72. I always had a job. When I was a kid, I worked in a grocery store, and I worked in a butcher shop. And the butcher shop was a great job. I had that job from the time I was a sophomore in high school till I graduated from high school. I used to clean up the butcher store every evening between 5 and 6. I would go in and clean down the blocks and change the sawdust on the floor, and I did that, and I really enjoyed that. And during the summers, I had a daytime job, and I worked in a photo lab, and I mounted the 35mm slide in their little cardboard containers. And then in the afternoons around 3 o'clock, I would leave the photo lab and I would go make my rounds to pick up the film that was left by people in the drugstores and in the candy stores. Because in those days, people took their pictures and then delivered the film to be developed and printed at the photo lab. And all of that had to be picked up from the various locations. And that's what I did after I mounted the slides all day. And I liked that job. And I did that for 2 summers. They developed it, I mounted the slides, and then I delivered the finished product back to the stores. So I worked my whole life. And I didn't go to college right away because I thought I had a great job and I had a good union and I worked for them for a couple of years, but I realized that that wasn't the best way to really get ahead. And so when I was 20 years old, I went off to college. And then I got married young, and so I had to change my whole college schedule, and I became a part-time student. And it took me 10 years to get my degree, but everything worked out fine. So hard work is okay. I'm not against hard work. What I am against is the changing of all the rules to benefit the employers, not to benefit the children. The U.S. Department of Labor reported that since 2018, there has been almost a 70% increase in child labor violations. In the last fiscal year alone, over 800 companies which employed more than 3,500 kids were in violation of federal labor laws. And there have been reports of kids working in slaughterhouses and meatpacking plants and things you wouldn't think that minors were doing. And the news comes at a time when states around the country are looking at labor shortages and are actively rolling back the protections for children because they need these people in the workforce. And the unfortunate thing is that they are probably taking great advantage of a lot of these children. And let's not forget that we have a huge influx of children coming out of the immigration system that we are fighting for the last couple of years. So there's an increase in available child labor. And that increase in labor benefits many businesses. That's not a bad thing. It's important for those kids to work because when they're coming here, they have nothing and they have to survive. So changing the laws to take advantage of that situation and to allow employers to have a distinct advantage over their young employees is a very dangerous and very unsavory situation. So you've got Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders of Arkansas signing a bill last month that says children under 16 no longer have to get a permit to work. And the state does not have to verify their age. So they could be under 16, they could be 13, they could be 14, and some employer is going to take them and put them to work. And they don't have to ask and show proof that they're old enough to be working. And in Minnesota, they have introduced a bill that will allow 16 and 17-year-old kids to work on construction sites. Now, I don't know that that's a terrible thing, but I don't know that the people who will put them to work won't take full advantage of the situation. And in Iowa, a bill will allow 14 and 15-year-olds to work in previously prohibited jobs like meat packing. So that's what we've come to. And these kids need these jobs. This is a result of this immigration influx and the result of the fact that many people don't want to work in those places. But there are many kids that have to work. Not only immigrants, but they come from poor families. And an extra couple of bucks is important. And I'm not sure that these kids are not getting the best possible deal, because are they forsaking their educations just to stay alive? That's a terrible situation. So we have states that are deliberately overturning what we used to call oppressive child labor laws. And that falls into a couple of major categories. One, that's how many hours can a child work? And the other thing is, what kind of work are they doing? And they shouldn't be working late hours. And you have to give them the ability to get an education. And these are all been overthrown in these states. They have been violating the futures of these children. They don't care about them. And it's not only the states that are violating the kids' futures, it's companies, huge companies, especially in the fast food industry. Places like Chipotle and Burger King that keep kids working more than 10 hours a day. And they have been fined. Chipotle alone has paid over $9 million in penalties. But there are other cases out there where the companies are doing the same damn thing. Now, one of the other things that we have to consider is that there are many adults who would be glad to do these jobs if the wages and the hours were better. So not only are the children working under terrible conditions, but adults are not working because they won't work under those conditions. So this is a huge mess. And this goes across the country. Although some states are better than others. We are fortunate in this part of the country, in New York and New Jersey, that have laws that protect these kids much better than what's going on in many other states. But that's the situation we are stuck with. Child labor is covering up a lot of the shortfalls in the entire labor market. And we have to take a good hard look at that. Even though it's been carried on for over 3 years, we have to stop it. Have a great day. Bye.